Right now, though, like I said earlier on, we're going to be having a conversation around pesticide bans in Kenya. Kenya's landmark pesticide ban, actually. And the person to help us have this conversation is Christine Gatwiri. She is a project coordinator, a Route to Food initiative. And kama kawaida, since 6 a.m. in studio, we have Siti Muga. So karibu sana Christine to Radio Generation. We're glad that you've joined us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm here to explain more about the pesticide ban that was announced by the Ministry of Agriculture. That was in June 2025. And the big announcement was the withdrawal of 77 pesticide products, the restriction of 151, and the restriction of 202 products, and 151 products placed under review.
Right.
There has been a lot of confusion about what these numbers mean, what this pesticide ban itself means, and what implications are for farmers, for consumers in Kenya today. So that's what I'm coming to shed a light on today.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And like I said, we're glad to have you here to specifically have this conversation. Why did the ministry, or the government for that matter, feel it's important to have this landmark announcement as far as the ban is concerned?
Okay. So there has been a history of pesticides and in terms of health impacts and also environmental impacts. We know from many studies that pesticides are associated with things like cancer, and also they cause mutagenic reactions in the body, that is basically changes in the DNA. They also cause disruption of hormones and also affect nervous systems. Beyond that, they have an effect also on the environment, things like pollinators like bees and killing of aquatic animals. So it's a public interest issue in the fact that we need to protect our people, the health of our people, and also the health of our environment.
Right.
The Constitution guarantees us a right to a clean environment, the right to a safe food. So beyond just also health impacts, environmental impacts, there's also a conversation about the safety of the food that we eat. If I don't know if you've seen recent statistics from the National Cancer Institute, they are saying we are diagnosing 44,000 new cases of cancer every year.
44,000?
44,000, yes.
Okay.
And this is big. And we have to start looking at all the factors that could be causing this. And one big causative factor is food, and all the ways that it could be contaminated in a way that affects our bodies. So pesticides are top on the line in this issue.
Yes. Why did Kenya take so long to have this ban, yet other countries did it before us? Yeah.
That's a very good question. Because if we look at when the regulatory body for pesticides is called PCPB, the Pest Products and Control Board. And if you look at historically what we've banned in Kenya, we started around 1986. That's when PCPB was formed. And we have always banned products that are actually banned in other countries. So using multilateral agreements, not as a country sitting and saying these things are not safe for us, so let's ban them. So there's a list actually in the release from the ministry. If you look at it, there's a list of 45 products that this says banned pesticides in Kenya. Those ones were banned because they were banned in other countries. We banned them in Kenya because they were banned in other countries.
Right.
So what makes this landmark is the fact that we are now starting to sit together as a country and say this is not good, let's ban it. Not just because it's banned elsewhere, but because we are realizing it's also not good for us. So and this is something we have always advocated for. Starting, for example, we submitted a petition to Parliament in 2019. It's called the Petition 70 of 2019. You can look it up.
Right.
And
Petition 70 of
2019.
So Petition 70 of 2019.
Yes.
Okay.
If you look it up, it's going to show you a petition to Parliament of Kenya saying that let's ban these very harmful pesticides from our country. And this was followed by the Committee of Implementation. It issued a report. And one of the recommendations from the report is PCPB, again the regulatory body, be able now to conduct assessments on pesticides that are in the market and act on them, like basically withdraw those that are harmful. So from that recommendation from the Committee of Implementation, we see PCPB start asking even the public to come and give comments on the pesticides that are in the market, and then start the process of assessing. This is not something we were doing before. Let me also talk about another factor that makes this a landmark decision from the ministry. It's the fact that now we are looking at a pesticide, whether it's registered in the country of origin. This is not something we were doing before. Because what happens is, let's say a pesticide is manufactured by a company based in a European country.
Right. Actually, before we get to that, I'd like to understand, where do most of our pesticides come from? I know a lot of medicine comes from India.
Yes.
But in terms of pesticides, tunazitoa wapi kwani?
So they are coming from all over. It depends also on the countries that are doing R&D, research and development.
Okay.
So we see a lot of European countries do that, Northern American countries do that, but also same as medications, when now the patent runs out, another company can pick it up. So that's why you see some are coming from southern Asian countries, some are coming from European countries. It's a bit all over. It also depends on the countries that have the funds and also the capacities for research and development.
All right.
So I was talking about this.
An example of a drug coming from a European country.
A drug, or let's say a pesticide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me talk about something. It's called glyphosate. Glyphosate. And maybe I should clarify that there's active ingredients and there's a pesticide product. So glyphosate is an active ingredient. It can be found in multiple products. So it's the same thing we have. For example, let me give an example of wheat. Wheat is one component, but it can be used to make many other components. It can be used to make bread, it can be used to make chapati, mandazi. So all of these things, we can say wheat is the active ingredient in all of them. So it's the same thing. Glyphosate, one product, one active ingredient, but also found in multiple products. So even when we talk about these 77 that were banned by the ministry, we are talking about 77 end products. But now when you so end products, I mean the chapati, the mandazi, the bread, all those. But now when you look at the active ingredients or the main component in these 77, we are looking at 8 active ingredients. Okay. So when we talk about the 202 under restriction, it means that these products are not going to be accessible. They are still in the market, yes,
right,
but they are restricted in terms of how they are going to be used. For example, there's a restriction on open fields versus greenhouse. So for example, one has been restricted from open field, is in shamba. You can't apply it on shamba, but you can apply it in the greenhouse. Another one has been restricted from edible crops. For example, you can't use it in maize, but you can use it in
flowers.
Flowers, exactly.
Okay.
So that's what restriction means. And then and that represents 8 active ingredients. So 8 active ingredients translating to 202 end products.
Okay.
Then there's another category. It's the 151 that have been placed under review.
Yes.
That represents just 3 active ingredients. It's just that one of the active ingredients called mancozeb has so many.
So I have a question. So we've restricted pesticide A from being used in the field, but inaweza tumika kwa greenhouse.
Yes.
What is stopping me as a farmer? Because you see, government is not necessarily going to come to my farm and see how I am spraying my crops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is going to differentiate or restrict me once I have bought this pesticide from using it in the open field?
Yes.
Yet it is only supposed to be in the greenhouse.
That's exactly the question we're also asking. How is the government planning to implement this restriction?
Okay.
If you have to have it, because they are going to be still sold in the aggregate, the one for flowers and the one for not flowers.
Exactly.
It's still going to be the same aggregate. So what are the mechanisms that are there to make sure that if this is meant for flowers, the person who buys it is only going to be using it on flowers? So this is a big gap in terms of implementation that we see. It could be misused, so that things that we want to restrict are still widely available. So one of the solutions we've been looking at, and this is something the program coordinator where I work, Dr. Warori, has been suggesting, is can we have a prescription system. You know, when you're sick and you go to the pharmacy, there are drugs you can't buy unless a doctor has written a note for you that you're okay to buy this type of drug.
So they're over-the-counter drugs and they're prescription drugs.
There's over-the-counter and there's prescription.
Okay.
So is there a way we can have at the county level a way that some of these pesticides, especially those under restriction, can be only purchased with a prescription from an extension officer?
All right.
And this is something that can be implemented at the county level. And as we even talk about these implementation gaps, these are some of the suggestions that are coming in. How can the county get involved in this process?
All right.
Yes.
You talk of bans.
Yes.
Are there pesticides that cut across greenhouses and open fields and whose level of possible to severe harm is limited?
That's a good question. Technically, it's not restricted. It's not when a manufacturer makes a product, it doesn't say this is for greenhouse, this is for the open field. What's happening is that the regulator PCPB is coming and saying, let's make this one for greenhouse only and not for open field. And why are they doing that? Because they know it's being abused or misused in the open field, and they have this assumption that the people in the greenhouse are going to use it better than the people using it on the open field. So it's also it's not a manufacturer's recommendation, it's more of a regulator's recommendation, and it's coming from the fact that we are seeing a lot of pesticides being abused in abuse generally. So the regulator is assuming this abuse is coming from people who are doing open field farming.
Okay.
The small scale farmers, basically. It's actually restricting it from use by small scale farmers.
This abuse that you speak of,
Yes.
what brings it about?
Sorry?
What brings about the abuse? Is it that they don't know, they are not well informed, they don't read the user's manual? What is it?
So it's a multitude of factors. The first one maybe I can talk about. There's a huge pressure to just produce something. And actually what is causing this is we are seeing a shift from what we call subsistence farming to commercial farming. You know, in the past we used to you plant your crops, then that is for domestic consumption. What you sell is the surplus. That is what we used to call subsistence farming. Now we are seeing a shift where you're doing the whole shamba, you're doing commercial, heavy commercial. So there isn't that perception of you're planting your crops, then that is for domestic use. Anything extra, that is what you sell. So if you convert your entire land to commercial, there is huge pressure in terms of wanting to produce something for the market and nothing getting destroyed by pests. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is ignorance. There's still a bit of ignorance. People don't know. Or maybe there's knowledge, but also recklessness around it. So because we see sometimes farmers, for example, the very heavy commercial one will have a commercial plot of land for the market, and then a separate one, kitchen garden, for their own use, because they don't want to eat whatever is being grown on the commercial piece of land. So I think there's awareness, yes, but also this pressure to produce the market and sell is also making abuse become such a big problem, because you will spray your tomatoes this morning and then in the afternoon you're picking them to go to the market.
I'll ask an idealistic question. Are there pesticides that don't have adverse side effects?
Yes. So pesticides are classified into different classes depending on the toxicity level and also on how harmful they are. So, for example, when we do advocacy against pesticide, what you focus on is a class of pesticides called highly hazardous pesticides. According to the World Health Organization has come with this very big categorization of pesticides. This class 1A. Class 1 is extremely hazardous. That one is just extremely lethal.
So why do they sell it if they know it's dangerous? So
class 1A has actually been banned or severely restricted across the world. So the contention here is class 1B. Class 1B is the highly hazardous pesticides. So they are not as lethal as class 1A, but then they have chronic and persistent effects both in our bodies and in the environment. And they're also profitable, and they're also very effective in terms of whether it's pest control, insect control, whether it's herbicide, whether it's fungicide. Yeah. So the issue is there are these pesticides, the highly hazardous, especially the highly hazardous pesticides. The effect is not always immediate. Some of them, it can take a bit of time, but then for sure they hurt our environment and also they hurt our bodies. There's actually a study that has been conducted, and I shared this story on our social media pages. You can look it up at Root to Food. There's a study that has been published showing pesticide residues in sanitary towels and tampons and pads. And where is this coming from?
They have found the pesticide.
Yes, residues
in this product.
In this product.
Okay.
And where do you think this is coming from? It's from cotton.
The material that is used to make these things.
Which is cotton. So cotton is one of those crops that is cultivated with a cocktail, not just one, a cocktail of pesticides.
Why?
Insect control, and mostly insect control. It's affected a lot by insects, so you have to spray a lot of all these things.
Insects like it, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the pesticide is not, it's not ending after you harvest the cotton. It's still being persistent after you take the cotton and go make all these materials with it. So they didn't do a study on diapers, but also they expect, because they have cotton, you would find some residues of pesticides. And
And these residues are active.
Yes, there are residues that can get into your body.
I'm asking because some could be inert. If it's active, it means that the moment your body comes into contact with it, then the harm we are speaking of is very direct.
Yes. These pesticide residues, they're active in that sense. They get into our bodies. For example, if you're looking at these sanitary towels, these are things you insert into your body. And if you consume something, like for example, let me take you to biology, secondary school. If you consume something you eat, the stomach acids.
If you ingest something.
Yes, exactly. If you ingest something, if you ingest something, the stomach acids are supposed to, for example,
break it down.
For example, for example, if it's bacteria, the low pH in the stomach, it breaks. It kind of kills those bacteria.
All right.
Right. But now, if you insert something in your body, there's not that. There isn't any barrier. These things directly get absorbed into your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to take you back to that part of cotton.
Yeah.
A couple of decades ago, we actually developed biotechnology cotton, which was meant to be resistant to pests and a lot of its other things. So, and I thought that was a very good solution, where we are having this GMO cotton that now we don't need to use anything on it. But now here we are, again, we are using it on cotton. So is it that we have a new pest that is now resistant to the resistant cotton, or what are we saying?
So
because I know Kenya really took that cotton and we owned it because it was primarily actually developed in this country. Yeah.
Actually, even genetically modified cotton can still the pests can still become resistant to it.
Okay.
So you're saying that they're genetically modified pests?
No, not the
they adapted.
They adapt to it. Resistance is actually a big issue even in the medical field. That's why even antibiotics, you advised, you shouldn't
abuse them.
You should make sure you finish your course, and also you don't go to the pharmacy and get a prescription. You go to a doctor who tests you, and then they give you a prescription. It should be controlled. Otherwise, we are looking at a pandemic, a new pandemic of antibiotic resistance.
Right.
So even in medication, even in pesticides, and pesticides are actually drugs. We need to take them as pharmaceuticals. They are drugs. So there's also an issue of resistance when you start using them a lot.
Which is the bigger problem here, really? That is it an industry that is commercial, and so the people pushing the products have a business to run?
Yes.
Or is it that the industry that deals with regulating and ensuring that safety measures are adhered to is weak? Or are we saying that this is something that is completely out of our control and we are constantly going to be chasing after it?
Okay. It's not something that is completely out of our control, especially if there is political will to do it. And what we are seeing with this ministry release is the beginning of political will, because this is an executive level decision to ban these pesticides. Previously, it used to be technical by the regulatory body, but now we are seeing a political will, and also the fact that this is executive decision. We are seeing the beginning of political will in terms of addressing. Yes, the pesticide industry is actually quite powerful. In terms of even profits, in terms of influence, in terms of power. I don't know if you have seen, there's a documentary on YouTube. It was done by African Uncensored. It's called Poison PR. You should check it out. And you get to see how powerful this interest can be. You know, they designed like a whole database of people who are in the pesticide industry, and with their private information, maybe even to target them. It's a whole thing. So they're incredibly powerful.
Okay.
But then also we are saying the regulatory body should also reflect some of this power, like and because now you have the power to regulate. Why not act on it?
Yeah.
So one big gap we see is how the regulation space itself is fragmented. So PCPB does the registration. If you come with your own pesticide, you want to register and use in the Kenyan market, you go to PCPB and apply for a license. But then there are very weak systems in terms of monitoring. So, for example, something can be withdrawn, but it's still in the market. So, whose role is it now to come and monitor and ensure this thing is out of the market?
Because if again, sorry, first of all, the ban that we have here in Kenya, is it in Tanzania and Uganda?
No.
Is it in Ethiopia?
No.
So now, if I'm a farmer and I'd like to smuggle this very effective pesticide that Kenya now has told me imepigwa marufuku, and me I can see it's working in my farm, and you said earlier on that it's very cheap. So me I want to go for the cheaper option, and I know I can get it from Uganda.
Yes.
Of course I'll have to bribe 1 or 2 people at the border to get it through. So this is also a situation I am certain you will face.
Yes.
Because we are having a similar situation even with our own drug problem.
Absolutely, and this is something that is happening.
So tutafanya aje hapo?
So again, this now goes back to the question of interagency collaboration. How are all these agencies that we have working together to make sure that pesticide is adequately regulated? PCPB does the registration, but it would be also better if someone else is picking the tab of the surveillance and the monitoring. For example, KRA could actually get involved because this is a customs issue, something that is getting into the country from outside of the border. And that's something actually we see. If you go to a place called Kimana, Kimana is the second largest producer of tomatoes in Kenya after Kirinyaga.
Is that so?
Yes.
Okay.
And guess what they are using? Pesticides that have already been banned in the country, but they are able to get them from across the border.
So you're saying that Kajiado County, next to Namanga,
yes,
we are now having pesticides coming through Tanzania that have been banned in Kenya.
Yes.
And this is a well-known fact.
Yes, it's a well-known fact. If you go to any farm,
you've said this is the second largest, right? Second largest tomato producer
in Kenya. Yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
So essentially, if you live in Nairobi as we do, the likelihood of the tomatoes we eat is that maybe 50% of it comes from Kimana.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
So I should stop eating tomatoes.
So
yeah. No, it's a legitimate question though. It's a legit because out of every 2 tomatoes I buy, 1 is poisoned.
Yeah.
So what are we saying?
Okay. So this is a larger conversation on food safety.
Yeah.
You can't. So we have done this study, and we are launching it in a month or 2. And it's basically how can you reduce pesticide exposure at home? You've bought your tomatoes. How do you reduce your pesticide exposure? So we will share some methods you can do at home to be able to do that. But even then, it's not.
Meaning you can reduce the toxicity in of the tomato you've already bought.
Yes, by these methods that we've come up with, we have investigated them. So how maybe you can wash it. But I want also to say you won't be able to reduce it 100%. You can maybe reduce some of that is on the surface.
By what percentage is important here? By what percent? Or you will tell us later?
You will tell us we'll tell you when you are launching the study, because it's a
full
empirical study.
You will tell us.
On how to do it.
Wonderful.
But I also want to preempt this and say it's not going to be a silver bullet. Like now you take this and then you do this and then no pesticide on the tomato. It's just going to reduce those on the surface. It might not be able to reduce those that are already inside the tomato. And now this is where now we come in, because this is a regulatory issue. There's nothing you as an individual can do to reduce pesticides. There's nothing you as an individual can do. It's about central regulation.
Wait. I thought you just said that you're going to unveil
Yes.
something that can help me at home.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And then now you're saying there's nothing I can do.
Yes. Both of those statements are true.
I don't know. Yes, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
explain what you mean, please.
Okay. So, let's say you are eating your sukuma wiki, and you've bought it from the market. There's surface level pesticide residues. It's possible to reduce some of that from the surface. Okay, but if something that was sprayed is systematic means it got into the plant.
All right.
You might not be able to do anything about that. And now, what's the solution for that? It's central regulation that makes sure that these very harmful pesticides are out of the market. Because I myself, I'm not able to completely reduce everything, right? So what should happen is that whenever I go to the mama mboga or to the market to buy my tomatoes or my sukuma wiki, I should be guaranteed it is safe.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to guarantee that is if all these very harmful ones are outside the market. They are not in Kenya anymore.
So Christian, we've seen in the news cycles where we see people are arrested for drug trafficking. You know, we have seen Akasha ameshikwa amepelekwa mali amepelekwa. We see people being arrested, quack doctors. You remember Mugo, I think it was Wawairimo? Quack doctor ameshikwa amefanywa kitu amefanywa.
Yes.
We had a fake lawyer arrested just a couple of months ago. So, but I've never seen a farmer or an agrovet arrested and taken into custody, and we are told Gatwiri Christine was selling fake medicine or fake tomatoes or fake whatever. Poisoned tomatoes and poisoned sukuma wiki. So what do we do in that regard? You know, does it mean that now tukae pale na tuendelee kuconsume hizi vitu na tungoje serikali ifanye kitu? Because clearly from where I sit ni kama serikali ifanye kitu.
There's a surveillance and monitoring gap. So PCPB is supposed to do this, but apparently there are challenges to doing it. And this is what I'm asking the government to really step up on doing, surveillance and monitoring. Then you've raised a very important issue of agrovets. You know, but I look at the medical field and I really admire them, because they really control the medicines. They are actually very controlled.
And their staff as well.
Yes, and their staff. You can't just open your pharmacy, your chemist up and you're selling. But agrovet, very easy to do. And so and then even if you look at how the pharmacy and poisons board, how they do their nini, they don't wait for evidence, whatnot. If something is suspected,
they pounce on you.
The first thing issue is a nini. It's withdrawn from the market completely, and then kesi badaye. Then they come now starting now what is going on, but it's already been withdrawn. Okay. So there's an extent to which PCPB as the regulator needs to step up. Okay. In terms of surveillance, in terms of monitoring, and I also wonder if this is also a job that can be taken by another agency. Maybe I know KEPS may probably do more on the monitoring in terms of the residues about crops already in the market. Right. But also KEFIS, but also as well as NEMA. NEMA actually has a very broad mandate in terms of also environmental issues, and they have this thing called the precautionary principle. Embedded into it's called the Environmental Management and Coordination Act. That's one that founded NEMA. And precautionary principle basically says you do not have to wait for scientific certainty before you act. You act and then kesi badai. So this is something that PCPB can actually, the regulation itself of pesticides can actually benefit from. Let me also go back to the question that you asked about what do we do. I know I said one is the regulation itself making sure that these pesticides are out of the market. But we are talking about also alternatives. Because, as I said, it's a classification system. Not all of them are quite harmful. Some of them are on the safer side of the spectrum. But what we promote is cultural practices. Because if you do, there are certain things that you do on the farm that will reduce your pesticide load. And once you reduce your pesticide load, then it means even the likelihood that you're going to spray, that you need spraying pesticide is also reduced. So let me introduce something here. This is something we've done and launched last year. It's called a Farmer's Resource Guide, Achieving Food Production Without Toxic Pesticides. So it gives you, it's actually very well illustrated, very simple to use, and this is something you can even download from our website, roottofood.org. Go to the resource hub and look for this, download, share on WhatsApp, share to farmers. So let me show you something.
Right.
This pyramid. This pyramid, it tells you how you should manage pests on the farm. You don't start with pesticide spraying.
Yes.
That's at the top completely. The biggest, what you start with is cultural practices, which means soil and water management, biodiversity. So these things like crop rotation, like you don't plant potatoes.
Year
What's
in,
going to
year
happen?
out.
Yes. What's going to happen? The pests of potatoes will dwell on your farm forever. How do you so if you break that cycle, if you plant another crop outside of potatoes, it's going to break that cycle of that pest.
Okay.
So that's a very easy solution to implement, so that you don't need to spray this persistent pest problem that you have because you're planting potatoes all through.
What if I'm exclusively a potato farmer and that's my income? Mimi niko pale Kinangop, I have this 10 acres of nothing but potatoes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you still need to break the pest cycle.
So crop rotation. Next season I do tea.
Not tea, but something else.
Something that can go in that area.
That doesn't hold the same type of pest as potatoes. So you can't also do tomatoes in the same family. You can do maybe sweet potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, so something totally different. Another thing could be things like intercropping. And then after if this doesn't work, so you've done this crop rotation, you've done intercropping, it doesn't work, there are still pests. That's when you start working now on biocontrol. Biocontrol means like things like, do you know rabbit urine? Rabbit urine is used to repel pests.
Is that so? I didn't know that.
Yes. Because it's strong, it has this very, very strong smell. It's able to repel. It's able to repel pests. And this
so I collect rabbit urine from God knows where, but once I get it,
keep rabbits.
I come and I start spraying it. Okay.
You dilute it first. You have to dilute, otherwise itachoma. And then we have a recipe how to make it. So you collect, and it can actually use also as a fertilizer. You collect so fresh rabbit. So there's a recipe.
And this is just the urine, not the poop.
No, just
and
the urine.
I can't use mbuzi. It has got to. Okay. I was just confirming.
So rabbit 1 liter, then mix with 4 liters, and then how to spray and how to apply. So this book is very useful. It has, even if you want to use Tidonia is a Mexican sunflower spray. So it's something, I don't know if these plants that grow as fence. Goats love to eat them, and they are very bitter. Can also be used as pest control, and also as a fertilizer. Some of these things, they are both fertilizer and both pest control. So
this plant that grows on the walls, I do what? I just plant it randomly in my farm.
Most of them actually just I've never seen anyone plant them. Most of them just grow.
Oh, they
just grow. From where I come from, most of them are just in many fences.
They plant themselves.
Yeah. Sorry.
They plant themselves.
I think they grow like weeds. I've never seen anyone plant them.
Seed dispersion and all that.
Where I come from, they are in everyone's fence.
Okay.
Everyone. That's what they use as fence.
Are they creepers?
No.
They
plant, and then they have this thing that looks like a sunflower. The flower looks as a sunflower. I think it's
those ones.
Yes,
It's
called Tidonia.
Chidonia.
Tidonia with T-I.
Tidonia.
Yes.
All right, continue as I Google this one.
Is that a Latin name? Is that English?
No. I don't think it's it could be. Actually, could be the generic
Actually,
name.
It's called Mexican sunflower.
Yes.
Tithonia diversifolia.
Yes.
That's the scientific name.
You can even use garlic spray. So there are all these things that you can use even before. Remember, these ones were before you get not to the pesticides. So you apply this, and then if they don't work, that's when you start looking at pesticides. But even if no pesticides, there's a whole broad spectrum. You start with biopesticides. And then if these don't work, then you can now start looking at those other safer alternatives. So what I'm trying to say here is there's a spectrum of options. If you have a headache today, you don't go to the doctor, and then the doctor prescribes surgery immediately to start trying to figure out what's wrong with your brain. First of all, maybe you take a nap. Maybe you're tired, right?
Yeah, hydration.
Maybe ujakunywa majani hiyo siku, so you get some tea. Okay, it doesn't work. Let's say maybe you go to a doctor. Doctor will also perform some tests. They offer some medicine. Then if that doesn't work, they escalate to something else. So what we are saying also is it's standard practice across pharmaceuticals not to start with the most, the extreme one. Start with this in terms of pest control, manage it, and then now let's escalate as we go.
Yeah. There's something you mentioned in terms of greenhouse and then open shamba.
Yes.
So are there some specific pests that only attack open shamba, but they don't get into the greenhouse, and vice versa, such that they're only in the greenhouse and they're not in the open shamba?
No. The reason for why they are doing this, they are restricting some pesticide for greenhouse only, is because they're making an assumption that the people who are in the open shamba do not use them, or they will abuse them.
Okay.
They're basically trying to restrict small-scale farmers from using them. And it can be a whole conversation. Can this also greenhouse people be able to use them? That's also a very valid question. We don't know.
Yeah.
So it's more of a regulatory decision to try restrict this from being used by the open chambers.
From what I've heard you say, there is a way in which you can actually grow your crops without using pesticides.
Yeah, if you have garlic and rabbit urine.
And that Mexican
sunflower,
and
Tithonia.
Yes.
Tithonia.
It's not the rabbit urine. You start with the rabbit first, because the urine is not independent of the rabbit.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
You will need lots of rabbits.
Yes.
To get 1 liter.
Yes, exactly. My question is this.
Yeah.
When people talk about organic farming, are this sort of farming, is it pesticide free?
So, no, not necessarily. But
So then why is it organic?
Because the pesticides applied, they are not inorganic. They are
So-
from organic sources.
So you have organic pesticides.
Yes.
And these ones do not have the sort of severe, deadly, dangerous after effects like the other chemical ones.
Yes. So when we talk about organic sources of pest control options, there's this, what we have been discussing, the rabbit, whatnot. But there's also another commercially produced biopesticides, if you want.
They're called biopesticides.
Biopesticides. They are coming from biological organisms. For example, there are people who make it's a biopesticide from maybe neem, warubaine. So so organic basically just means that it's the pest control options, and also even the fertility, soil health management that they use, they're all coming from organic sources.
All right.
Yes.
So it is available.
Yeah, they're available.
Okay, I'm not going to go into why it is not used. Let's talk about the cost effectiveness of both.
Of the inorganic and the organic.
Yes. Which one guarantees you the yield that a farmer would be interested in without the throwback of the harm that we clearly know pesticides bring, if you were to compare them blow by blow, step by step?
Do you know, we have reached a point where organic production is actually as cost effective as the conventional one.
We have reached.
We
were previously not there.
Yeah, because of many factors, especially dealing with production issues. But the thing with organic is because now you have applied these things, the cultural practices that you were talking about, the crop rotation, the intercropping, the companion planting, it means now you have a much reduced pesticide load. So you don't need to spray as much. So even if you have to go now and now start applying the ones that you purchase, which now brings in the cost issue, you are not at the same level as the conventional farmer, because your pest load is much lower.
That's not going to, but pause. The conversation we're having here is that having followed these traditional methods and these organic methods, the load of pests within that ecosystem is reduced.
Yes.
So this spraying, we are referring to spraying with organic pesticides. Is that what we're referring to?
Yes.
Oh, so everything now is organic.
Yes.
So it can be done.
Yes.
Are there any organic pesticides that have harmful side effects?
Harmful side effects. I'm not aware, but if most of these things, because they are organic based, for example, neem, marubani is something we consume even in our bodies, even as medication.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not aware, and I can look that up, but I do not expect there is any side effects from that.
Everything has side effects, including water. So, oh yes, everything. The reason why I ask is because there are people listening, and what we say will be taken as gospel. Now, we don't want a situation where somebody goes the organic way and says, this organic thing, my goodness gracious me.
Radio generation ilimdanganya.
Yes, nilitumia organic, and what do you know?
Yeah. But if you're looking at side effects, really, something that is causing you cancer and causing you nervous system
damage.
Issues like Parkinson's and whatnot cannot be compared to what the effect of neem.
Actually, you can. This is really my point. My point is that it's not that I'm expecting to be problem-free.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that information that is given upon it is as wholesome as possible, so that people understand what they're getting into.
Okay.
Because, for instance, I want to do some farming, and I will want to know and understand that if I go this organic way, I have not reduced all my problems, but I've minimized them as much as is humanly possible. That's what I seek to understand.
Okay, so let's do this. If you want to venture into agriculture, first of all, don't even start thinking about what pest control options you're going to use. First thing, do cultural practices. Let's start at the basic minimum. Let's start doing cultural practices. You have cabbage, for example, and this book has actually 5 different crops, the pests and the diseases that affect it, and how to control them. So, for example, we take cabbage. Cabbage is affected by, for example, aphids. How do you control aphids? You intercrop with onions. You physically remove infested plants. You plant hedges and flowers in the field to attract natural enemies. So, and then now, if this doesn't work, now we start looking at the biopesticide options available. You choose something like neem oil. You choose something like ash brew. You choose something like rabbit urine. If you want to purchase something, go purchase yellow traps. Yellow traps actually have
what
something.
Are those?
So yellow traps are it's a biocontrol of pests, and they're basically made to
what
have
are the ingredients?
Pheromones. They have insect pheromones. So what they do, they attract. They attract. Was it male or females? I think females.
They attract each other. It depends who's producing the pheromones. Mostly it's women. Female insects.
No, so then they are going to attract the male insects, and what happens now? There's no reproduction. They will not reproduce.
Wait
so
a moment.
it's a very creative
so
and clever.
We're sterilizing them.
Not sterilizing.
What are we doing?
We are reducing one gender from the population.
So we are neuting them.
Not neuting. You have not affected them. You are attracting one of the genders from the population. And
so that means the women remain widows.
So no, essentially we are making one group celibate.
Yes, we are actually. We are.
It works.
We are taking away their conjugal rights. But I get what you mean, and it makes sense. It makes sense. They've tried that with mosquitoes as well.
Yes.
They're actually even mating mosquitoes, and the offspring are they're like a mule, sterile, right? But now here is a question in regards to this whole pesticide issue. Why are we not investing in and this is now a question I'm asking you personally. You might not have the answer because you're not government, but is it possible to empower our own manufacturers here in Kenya so that we can produce friendly or friendlier pesticides, whether organic or otherwise, so that now tuache ku rely on these European countries? So is it because we do not have ingredients, we don't have the manufacturing capacity, or what? Where in your opinion is the problem?
Okay, 2 things. I know the government is interested in reviving the pyrethrum sector. That could provide in terms of pyrethrum as an option. But also I've talked to pesticide manufacturers. It's also there's a cost issue. It becomes expensive to produce. Also technical capacity. So that's something the government can assist in as well.
Technical in terms of the manpower or the knowledge?
Both as well. So these are gaps that the government can assist in. But beyond that, I would really like the county government to step up, because when we talk about farmers, small scale farmers in the rural areas, it's county government governments that are directly responsible. How can we train farmers on how to do this better, to do the cultural practices that reduce the pesticide load, even before we start thinking about these things that you have to buy and apply on the farm. We must start at the basic minimum, which are cultural practices. So county governments have a role to play. And I'm really encouraged that some of them, we have a national agroecology strategy, and some counties, including Muranga, they have come up with their own county agroecology strategies to domesticate this national one. So the next step is really to make sure that there's training materials that help now these county extension officers be able to reach farmers, both training materials but also budgets to support this process.
Yeah. I want to go back to the technical know-how aspect of your answer.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that we have all these TVETs, we have all these universities, both private and public. And we have engineers.
Yes.
We are training them on a daily.
Yes.
And we are graduating them twice a year from all the universities in Kenya. And we still lack in terms of technical know-how to really bring up these manufacturing industries.
Yeah.
We've been banning pesticides since 1986.
I know.
Na bado saizi tunashindwa.
Yes. Yes. So some of it I know can be a skill transfer. Like you've learned this thing, and the industry is looking for this other type of skill, and you need to switch up your skill. But beyond that, it's a government's responsibility really to create an enabling environment. So if it's training that is required, that is something that government can be able to offer.
Right.
If it's whether it's subsidies or whatever else is might be required in terms of getting the right materials, getting the right equipment, this is also something that government can be able to do. So I'm encouraged that given now this executive interest, at least at the ministry right now, that now we are going to have conversations about how to enable this sector to grow, and not just the pesticide industry itself, but also in terms of the farmers themselves having the know-how of how to do these cultural practices.
Right.
Because it's something we used to do. Now we just need to remind ourselves. Because in the past we didn't have, a whole piece of land that you've just planted maize and nothing else.
Yeah.
We used to intercrop. You have maize and beans, and you have vitungu and your vegetables on the side.
Yeah.
So we've now shifted to an area where it's maize from here to the where the eye can see. So yeah, it's something we need to remind ourselves, and I'm hoping we can continue conversations.
Yeah.
And the media can also help us in terms of having and being able to reach farmers as well.
And we have these big companies that we have Isipe here in Kenya.
Yeah.
We have Ilri.
Yeah.
Then we have Kari, our very own.
It's called Kalro.
Kalro, yes.
Yes.
So we have Kalro, and we are still unable to come up with solutions.
Actually, that's not true. That's not true at all. In fact, the institutions you speak of have done wonderful things over time, to the point where we've even exported our expertise to other countries.
Yes.
Now, specifically to what we're discussing, she's in a better position to tell us what they have done.
As far as pest control is concerned.
But they are doing amazing work. Like Isipe is a totally different level when it comes to being creative around. Like this, what you are saying about the yellow straps being a very creative. So Isipe has got
that was their brain. That was their
not
brain.
that one specifically, but they have other very creative solutions in terms of pest control.
All right.
Kalro is also very active in this space. So there is research coming from our institutions in both universities, in and the research institution themselves.
Okay.
The other day we were conversing with someone who is trying to make a pesticide from seaweeds. Like and make it in like a neutral. I think we were referring to it as a nano. So it's extremely small that is able to target the pest itself.
Okay.
And it's coming from seaweed. So there's research ongoing from individuals, from universities, from research institutions. So and this goes to the question we always ask: where are our innovations going? Because we have innovations.
Yeah,
they're being done and they're being published. But now, how do we make sure they're transferring to the market?
All right.
How do we make sure that we are adopting them as farmers, as practitioners? How do we communicate with all these people involved in this process and make sure that now we are benefiting from them?
All right.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of the show, but before I let you go, I should have asked you this question earlier on. Route to Food Initiative, what are you guys all about?
Okay, so we are an initiative of a program called Agroecology and Food Rights Program, and we are based at the Heinrich Böll Foundation, which is a German political foundation. What we do is we do research, we do advocacy, and we do communication. We are basically a communication-based platform.
Okay.
Our flagship work has been this pesticide advocacy, but we also touch on other thematic areas that touch on food. And the right to food, the fact that everyone has the right to food according to the Constitution, Article 42, and we try to promote that. Maybe what I can also add is that we've been involved in this pesticide advocacy from 2019 when we submitted the petition that I talked about.
Right.
And we don't act alone. We don't work alone. We work with partners. I'm just here representing a larger ally network who are actually also involved in these food safety campaigns.
You said you're funded by a German political party.
Okay, so we are our initiative, Root to Food Initiative, it's an initiative of the Agroecology and Food Rights Program. Yes, so our parent organization is the Heinrich Böll Foundation, and it's a political foundation of a party.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I know them.
Yeah.
So basically, you guys get your money from ODM, Germany. Just kidding on a light note. But thank you so much, Christine. Christine Gatwiri, project coordinator, Root to Food Initiative. Absolutely awesome conversation, and I hope you'll be back here to give us good news as far as perhaps even manufacturing, local manufacturing of pesticides is concerned.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Where does one find rabbits?
Rabbits are everywhere. I can even give you a contact of a friend who keeps them. Yeah, everywhere. And we don't eat meat from them as much.
Yes.
So if you can keep rabbits even just for their urine, and it's not just pest control, it's also fertilizer. It's fertilizer for your soil. So get some.
City Muga, karibu tena sana to Radio Donation Fraternity, or is it family?
Family.
Karibu tena sana.